I like the blue side here for Unicorns because they can force Giants to ban a Shen because Unicorns will just insta-lock it. And there we go, it's gone.
Every single time. First ban of that Shen out from the Giants, as you just mentioned, and Lysandra will be aimed here at the at Giants. So, you know, looking for the rest of these bans. Had Nidley, of course, last game. You can see them right there on your screen. Cassidy, Bard, Gangplank.
And I'm wondering about that Cassidy ban because it does make sense against Exile. It does fit his style of play. But the fact that you would ban it that early on, like there are a number of picks that you can pick into the Cassidy, and when there are things like the Rek'Sai still available and the amount of impact that it was able to have on in game one, you have to wonder whether or not Giants look to prioritize that or whether or not they try and take it away from the side of Unicorns.
Oh, this is where you can actually do a cheeky pick ban adaptation and you get rid of either Elise or Gragas and you...
Rek'Sai?
Well, Rek'Sai is off, Nilly is off, and then you ban the other and then you pick the 4th remaining good jungler. Unicorns are not going to go for that. Cassiopeia ban comes out.
A Rise ban as well, so showing a bit of respect. And then, okay, so perhaps this is part of the reason as to why the casting ban came out in game one. Definitely directed towards Exile, as he does seem to be very comfortable. It did receive some buffs on the most recent patch, so his ability to train lane is a little bit better, as well as that his scales just as well as he did before. But you just get a bit of extra damage on the Q now, which is always a great thing to have on that caster.
Yeah, he is strong later in the game, especially in these team fights, but he needs to be punished early on, and more importantly, Cassidy will give up lane priority almost exclusively all the time. So Giants need to punish this Cassidy. Like, you can't go even, have equal gold at 20 minutes versus the Cassidy, because then you're doing something wrong. Because you can always push in mid, which means you can always disappear into the river, which means your bot lane can always play aggressive and enemy bot lane can never react. And then you can get a swap timing up to top. You know, there's so many moves that you can chain into each other if you play that matchup correctly. And you have the counter pick on purple side.
Okay, so even though the Gragas out of the Rek'Sai duo was not banned away, got the Elise coming out here from Maxor, and the early pick of Taric as well, down to Huston. So taking away that pick, that's what Chachi was saying, plays very similar champions to the Unicorns, so feels very similar in style.
I hope Hylissang plays time Kench, honestly, because it's such a good pick against the likes of Taric Elise. You know, Cocoon stunt connects, you know, you just gobble him up, spit him out, because right now, we need some peel for Exile, so low mobility.
However, this is something that you mentioned, Krepo, in game one, where Unicorns have a tendency to go more towards comfort rather than necessarily what the meta deems as best. And Braum can still provide adequate peel, and it is just something that Hylissang not only is he very comfortable on, but has had a lot of success in the past. And he definitely had a fantastic game one on it.
Yeah, because like both Move and both this Graves pick and this Cassidy pick don't have any guaranteed lockdown in it. So like if a Graves has to gank any lanes, there's nobody to set up for him. Cassidy can't set up for mid.
Yeah.
Bot lane Ashe could set up later on. If top lane has some CC, yes, maybe. If there's like an Irelia pick coming out here, visit Chachi, maybe he can set that up then himself. But otherwise, Graves has such a hard time ganking a lane.
Why is the Graves coming out here now that we have like these on the table and we're generally seeing like these other picks come out?
Maybe just doesn't want to play the Gragas into Elise matchup where Gragas kind of has a slightly slower clear and maybe gets denied a bit. I don't know. This is just personal preference. I would only be guessing at things and hoping I was right.
In terms of trading, like if they met early on, the Graves, you could argue, would have a slight edge, but he definitely scales harder than the Elise. He will have a larger impact in the mid to late game, and in terms of team fighting, you could argue that he has a lot more value or can offer more than an Elise can, but in terms of early pressure, Giants definitely have the advantage of the Elise.
All right, we are currently lying to you right now. Echo has been locked in, and so has the Sivir as well. Echo definitely risen in popularity recently in that top lane, and sometimes even the mid lane as well.
Yeah, technically a flex here for top and mid. Sivir pick is kind of surprising. Most teams seem to prioritize Jhin over it because Sivir just doesn't have a steroid for fighting-wise at level 6. So the Sivir Taric lane, for example, on the level 6 power spike, if you look at it, neither of them brings raw power to the table. And the problem is, yes, you can have Taric ulti, but it's so obvious when it's popped that you can then either disengage from the fight or you kill somebody before that ultimate connects. Like, it is a very slow channel.
You know, and you mentioned before, I highly expect that Echo to be top lane because I played the Echo into Castin matchup the other day thinking, you know, I wonder how this is. It is awful for the Echo. It is truly abysmal. You do not want to go into that 1 versus 1. You do not outscale the Cassidin. It is very difficult to trade. It's so easy for the Cassidin to play around almost all of your abilities. And so I highly expected to go top, but then it does surprise me. I slightly would have preferred the Irelia because it's really good into Na, which is a comfort pick for Chachi. It's very good into the low mobility of Ashe and Graves. And when you pair that up with a Taric as well, She's basically this unstoppable killing machine that's very good at getting onto the backline. With this Echo, who's likely to go Trinity Force, who is actually going to go into the mid lane.
Yeah, and this is the second part of the argument. I would never trust Vedius to make my matchup call.
Well, we had the last couple of picks on here just to finish up the house cleaning, or the housekeeping rather. So the Ashe down there with the Alistair and the Irelia going to top lane for Unicorns. And the final pick was Trundle, locking the Echo into mid lane.
Yeah, and this is, Trundle should be a 5 matchup into Irelia. It's a skill matchup, I feel like, from levels 3 to 5. That's where he gets a little bit differently. But level 1, don't trade. Because that's a matchup I've played as Irelia into Trundle. I died level 1. The reason they picked the Alistair here is because it's almost impossible for Sivir to spell shield the combo. Because you can't do it in between the connecting spells, and the combo will eat up one part of the shield, and then it's a guaranteed hit pretty much from Alistair into Sivir. That's why Alistair is such a good pick into Sivir.
Of course, and Tarek as well in that bottom lane. And once again, Veritas getting his hands on Ashe. Doesn't seem like Giants want to take that one away. They were more concerned about taking away the Shen, taking away the Rek'Sai. So interesting priorities in this one.
Yeah, and to be honest, I'm quite excited. We did see this mid lane matchup in the KT versus SKT, where they rushed the Proto Belt. You then had KT go for a very early Lich Bane into Banshees. So he was very much building defensive to go into that side and be able to trade or hold his own against the Kassadin. So I want to keep an eye on Knight and how he decides to itemize this game.
All right, guys, you can see the composition. So jump on Twitter and get your votes in. Maybe it's changed after game 1. Hashtag UOL win, hashtag GIA win, as we now move into game 2 of this best of 5. First quarterfinals here between the Giants and the Unicorns of Love. Unicorn of Love starting off very strong with a very convincing game 1 performance. We'll see if they can bring it to that 2-0, put themselves on match point.
But again, the focus has to be in this Trundle-Irelia matchup. If it snowballs either way due to jungle influence, and it's most likely to snowball downwards for Vizicsacsi this time, because at least he's a much better gangling jungler. Unless Vizicsacsi can kind of connect and get a stun onto Smitty J, then Move can move in. But let's see if Maxor is going to do any creative pathing here. Hustling, lurking in the middle of the lane somehow, for some reason.
He's between a Bull and a Veritas currently, charging up the Dazzle. Nice double stun onto the aggressors there, so Huston will make his way out.
He's just going to swag his way out of that one. Really good shining.
Yeah, stuns him up, looks at him, gives him the blue steel.
Yeah, I love that skin as well. Absolutely fantastic. Completely awed by Huston's presence.
I don't know if the V is deep enough, though, you know? Like, can you truly
Are we talking Sifa levels of V here in casual wear, or...?
I mean, he has to be the true judge. But, something that I did want to touch on briefly was the fact that Irelia, we did see a lot of her for a while, and then she received a bit of a nerf to her ultimate cooldown. And that was one of the reasons why she fell off a little bit, because one of the great things about Irelia in the past is you could have a lot of pressure in lane. You could almost kill someone with your ultimate, go back to base, and by the time you get back to lane again with a couple items, you could then just use it up again. And now, with the increased cooldown early levels, you don't quite have that same sort of kill pressure. And that was one of the reasons why she fell off. But it looks like that for Chachi, he has been practicing a lot in solo queue. It is something that he's comfortable with. We'll have to see how he makes it work in this matchup.
Yeah, a couple interesting things that we missed during this analysis of Irelia. Double Thunderlords is being played on Move and Hylissang, which is quite surprisingly. The Alistar with Thunderlords hasn't been seen that much. That means they're going to go for the all-ins here. Ignite on Hylissang too. He's looking for level 2 level up.
He baited out the shield as well. He'll get the knock-up onto Huston. Decent amount of damage from Veritas as well, putting a lot of punish down onto the turret.
But he missed the camp, which means he's leveling up slightly later, because like normally he would be approaching level 2 soonish. Maybe he missed a creep somewhere.
So now Giants have to concede this because Hylissang's getting at the early level 2. And now...
The wave's over pushing though, so they can easily concede it. But yeah, they definitely have the control. Hylissang was aggressively fighting for the push. This is what Knight's doing too. Instead of fighting the Kassadin, you fight the minions.
Yeah.
AFK push him in.
Yeah. You do have the push advantage. Notice that he's decided to go for the Doran's Ring. Interesting that Exile hasn't decided to go for the Corrupting Potion, but it's likely that he'll build that second, because when you stack that up with that ring, then you do get a bit more sustain during the laning phase.
And that's it. That's the sustain. You know, when people see the Dark Seal, good combo here from Hylissang. See the reaction first.
Veritas under attack. The exhaust is on top of him. He's taken so much damage. Sunstar will jump after you use 2 summoners on both sides.
If that was an Ignite on the side of Hustling, that was a good turnaround kill here. That's obviously the risk of playing Alistar aggressively into Tarek, seemingly how it used to be into Leona. Whoever fires first loses, because you get the other one having an easy reactionary stun onto people here. Moves about it. He's actually going for the
shove, I guess.
The shove. He's going to go for the group siege approach.
Well, he has to, because Veritas was forced back.
Yep.
What Giants could have done is just set up the freeze and started denying Veritas and Hylissang away from the farm. And with Move coming in, they're now able to shove it underneath the turret, and so they can go back to base. But this isn't necessarily a perfect back timing.
Yeah.
Now, looking towards this mid lane here of Knight and Exile. Slight CS advantage being built up by the Echo so far into this game, but really negligible. Well, the Asta roaming up to mid lane, charging up with Thunder Cow coming in here, but Knight's used a lot of his mobility already in this raid, and he takes the tower shot. First blood! This is my kill, says Hylissang.
That was not good.
That was actually... Let's see what Maxwell gets here on Vizicachi first.
Oh, a flash as well from that Cocoon.
Like, so... Actually, a lot goes into that play from Hylissang. What he did was space out his combo. I hope no action happens here, because that's actually really interesting to look at. He went for a W, and he didn't layer his combo immediately. Look at it. He's going to knock Knight back, and then Q flash after him. So the reason he does that, if he normally goes for the combo WQ, and Knight flashes that reactively, then Knight's out. So what you do is, you go for the W, and you will land in that location. If the guy flashes, you Q flash after him. But he also knows that if he displaces the guy while he's flying, Knight can't flash. So the W into Q flash straight then is the perfect execution as a reaction if Knight doesn't flash. So he really ticked all the boxes and guaranteed that kill. That was a super smart play, and that was not a combo failure.
So TLDR, Cal said moo, and then Knight died.
Yeah.
Got it.
But now Knight has to be a little bit more careful pushing up in the lane, because this was something that we talked about earlier on. You can just avoid the straight up 1 versus 1. You don't have to trade with Exile. You can just focus on clearing out the wave. But then if you're going to push that much, yeah, sure, you don't have to be that scared of Move, but you do have to be scared of roaming cow. Smitty J takes a lot of damage.
Oh, Chachi's chasing after. Doesn't have the Blazer just yet, but Smitty J walking back into him. Surely Blazer will coming up soon. Yeah, I think he knew the timing on that one. We'll have to flash away so he doesn't get gibbed.
That's the 3 to 5 skill matchup that Repo was talking about during the Champion Select. Early on, you don't want to trade up against the Trundle, but then once you hit that level 3 mark, once you have a couple points on those Equilibrium Scratch, I imagine he's going to look to max the W first to increase that trading potential yet, but still, once you have that E available to you, when you have your full combo, that's really where Trundle has to be careful about how he plays.
Yeah, Vizicachi gets to enhance his combos, you know, with some spells. Here we see that the thing we were talking about in Champs League 2, it's impossible to spell shield a combo from Alistar. The problem, Trundle is a carry that wins by trading on auto attacks, you know, so in pure situations where it's only auto attacking, he will win with auto Q. That's level 1, maybe level 2, but once you get to level 5, Vizicachi gets more offensive tools in his kit, you know, the E that stuns, you know, more true damage and health from the W.
So resulting in that win in the top lane. We'll give him a slight CS advantage as well. Something I was interested in keeping an eye on, as we are now locked into these 1v1 matchups and these 2v2s, and how well Unicorns have typically done when put in those matchups. So seems to be the same thing happening in this series so far.
I mean, the Unicorns of Love are doing relatively well right now. They're a little bit behind in the bottom lane. The initial trade that we had early on in the laning phase is where Giants were able to get this slight edge. And now you have that pushing power of the Sivir that the Ashe can't quite match. And with the roam from Hylissang as well, adding on top of that, that's resulting in a slight lead. But look at Maxwell coming for a gank in the top lane.
He's coming up here and already trading up against Vizicachi. He sees the aggressing Maxwell and tries to make his way out by jumping to a minion. He doesn't have the flash though, so he'll jump back towards the minion. Oh! The dude, that will result in the flash coming in from Maxwell to finally secure the kill. Almost gave them the runaround.
I love me some Vizicachi Irelia, but there's more here. Move going down.
He's dead.
He's dead. There's not more here. He's dead. Vizicachi kind of baited in his own teammate, going into fancy play here. So we see Hylissang going for another combo here into Arrow.
Dazzle lands on both members, meaning he'll get the stun. Veritas has been exhausted. He'll turn around with some damage, and they do disengage.
So much to talk about. I really like the positioning from Hustling reactively. He never gets sucked into the combo himself, and then gets really good both stuns and proxy stuns. The cool thing about Vizicachi's Irelia, though, is that he's always aware of minions to dash to, and he sets them up. There's 2 highlights recently on Reddit as well of some fancy plays that he's so super aware of where to dash to, and he's very elusive.
He certainly is, and he was almost able to get out of that play. But unfortunately for him, Maxwell did have his flash available too, and just keep your eyes on how Chachi sets this one up, because he's a little bit overextended in the lane. Maxwell waits in the tri-bush for Chachi to overstep, and then they force this. But the problem is the repel here from Maxwell, because Chachi goes to the minion. Maxwell's created a big enough gap that almost enables him to get away, but then with the flash from Maxwell, unfortunately he isn't able to get. And then Move comes up through the river. Knight reads the play, and then ends up picking up a completely free kill. So Move singing to himself, "Hello darkness, my old friend," as Knight getting himself a kill on the board.
Hides in his own smoke screen. If I can't see them, they're not here.
Doesn't work like that.
Doesn't work like that.
Really sad as well, because you can make a play like that, but then if you die afterwards, it's not highlight material anymore.
No, because he got the flash. Like, it's more important.
Okay.
Like, Maxlor could have killed him without the flash. Vizichachi essentially traded an extra flash for the mistake that was already made, which was overextending. But this was a return gank from Maxlor. He showed up first, got Vizichachi's flash, then showed up again. This is what we were expecting in a matchup so volatile as Aurelia and Trundle. Jungle presence is important, and move is failing right now. Graves is not an early ganking jungler unless there is setup, and there's not enough setup to make him work. And he is, despite not doing anything except dying, he's still behind in farm versus Maxlor.
Yeah, we talked about how bottom lane is really the best lane for him to actually try and go for the ganks because of the setup from the Ashe Alistar. But unfortunately, they really haven't had an opportunity to go for it yet, especially with the disengage. Now Maxwell going for the dive.
And Vizichachi underneath this tower, nowhere to go from here. Smitty J was taking an extra tower shot, but a nice clean gank from the Giants.
It's just rinse and repeat. Another zoning arrow coming out from Veritas to try and force the Giants away from the turret, but it's not enough zone. His move now trying to help out the turret.
Rinse and repeat. He'll come in with the ultimate, but he's ticking down from the red buff. Maxwell will just give him a bit of a nibble there with the spider and just take him out.
Alright, Exile coming in here. He needs montage, otherwise it's looking very grim here for the Unicorns.
He's trying hard for the montage. Will he make it happen? There's the pillar coming up. He'll jump over it using the ult there. Maxwell is still off to the sidelines, and Knight will be forced to chrono break back to safety. Chachi coming in, jumping after Smitty J. He did have his flashback, so he won't be going down.
Really good play from Knight just to get the basic attack onto Chachi to then throw out his Q so that when the return came, he'd be able to create a gap between him and Chachi to avoid anything serious coming off the back of that. But overall, Giants picking up kill after kill, and I mean, a lot of questionable decisions coming out from Move.
This is honestly Vizichachi getting camped, and he's not asking for enough help initially and not respecting the fact that he can get dove. So the way out of these kind of perma-camps, if you're a struggling top laner, is literally to group with your jungler and move bottom, and you do the inverse of what Unicorns did in game 1. Instead of bot lane swapping top lane and junglers just swap bot, you brute force through the lane, you try and get the tower, you get the turret first blood gold to offset the potential time you spend wasting from moving away from your lane, and you take dragon to boot. I think that is a play that Unicorns could have considered here, because Vizichachi is getting ganked over and over in this top lane, and he's down flash again.
And in contrast to this first game, Giants now with the lead on this red side. Just around over 1,000 gold. So
red side OP confirmed?
Apparently, we'll wait until the 50-minute mark, because that's where it really started opening up from the Unicorns, and then we'll compare and contrast here. Looking towards this top lane, Chachi. They're giving him the chomp there on the top lane from Smitty. Exile also being chased down by Knight. He's looking to aggress, but Move coming in with the counter gank. Knight dropping very low. Collateral damage lands, but I mean, nowhere close enough for a kill.
So at this point in the matchup, oh, hang on a second, bottom lane.
He stuns him.
Nope, never mind.
That's the problem with the matchup. Like, whoever goes first loses the trade.
Exactly. Because if you dive in on the Echo, you then have no way to dive back out, and it's so easy for Castan to just keep chasing you. And then when the jungler comes in as well to provide extra damage, you're in a very sticky situation.
I actually meant the bottom lane matchup.
Oh, sorry.
That was, I guess
same for the mid. Same for the mid.
That's the problem with most melee matchups into like Carrick. It's like, okay, you just use your stun aggressively. You now spend time walking up. Guess what? Alistar's just gonna combo both of you. But Exile, he survived the roughest part here of the game, honestly. Getting Catalyst and then Darkseal Corruption, you pretty much have not infinite sustain, but enough to get by, and you can keep farming here. So there's still late game insurance here for Exile.
The extra mana crystal as well. I wonder what he's going to turn that into. He could go for a tier. Very heavy scaling late, but something that we saw from Faker come out was just the rush into Lichbane, so that could be what Exile is looking to pick up for himself as well.
Possibility. We'll have to see in the next couple of minutes as he accumulates more golds and, of course, gets more items. Panning back up to the top lane, of course, advantage to Smitty J, but Chachi's not really getting out-farmed right now. He's managed to keep pretty even with him.
But these little moves are like, mid laners just disappearing into Fog of War as opposed to going for like a Wolf camp or a Raptor camp, and then you deny your jungler who has nothing left. You just put so much pressure. You see Smitty J, he had to back off, put a ward, and then when Exile shows up, he can no longer contest Vizichachi on the wave because Vizichachi is just done clearing the wave. So it's these little things where you disappear into Fog of War. Same for supports. You move away from bot. You go into the river if you have pink ward control. Enemy mid has to play a little bit careful.
Well, Maxo and Huston now gripping up this jungle and support duo, seeing what they can do, invading here into Exile and Move. Let's see if they have the vision here as they turn the corner. Down goes the ward, and the blue buff is very low, and comes out the dazzle. Nice, successful steal from Maxtor, and they'll be pretty content with this drive-by.
Yeah, and that's with the new timers. You can always see when Blue Buff's going to spawn through Fog of War, and denying a Blue Buff against a champion like Kassadin is honestly vital, because then Knight can start pushing through and eventually putting him on the brink of outsustaining him.
And this is actually really good for Giants because Exile was denied that blue buff. Knight was able to get in at the initial push down onto mid. He can move into the enemy jungle with Max Law. That's going to force Chachi off from the turret, and they're going to be able to get that first blood tower goal.
Hylissang was pushing down the bottom tower, but now defended by Giants. So, as you mentioned, Giants with that first tower will not be responded by Unicorns.
And teleports aren't in sync here. Vizichachi's still waiting on his cooldown, so they can't set up a dive bot. And even if he does, SmittyJ will match with a teleport of his own. So tough spot here for the Unicorns. Honestly, running out of good options to make. They need to wait for a mistake for Giants here.
Already put in that position here. Top lane. Eventually they do back off. Move was also around the area to contend. Of course, that ward that they placed down earlier did spot him out.
Yeah, difference between Vizichachis and Aurelia and a lot of other players. We'll get back to that later. There's some action here in the bottom lane.
Yeah, he's jumping onto Huston, looking for this Pulverize to come out as well. Huston using the ultimate will give them a couple seconds of invulnerability. Again, here comes the knockup and the chain CC, but Huston, he's not going to go down, and now Hylissang under attack. He's already used the ultimate, but Chachi, he's found Huston, and now SmittyJ and Sonstar aggressing onto Hylissang. They'll get that first kill, but now with the collapse of Unicorn, Sonstar has nowhere to go. 2-for-1 trade.
Yeah, difference between Vizichachis, Aurelia, and a lot of other players here is that he maxes Q second. See if there's more action, which means he comes up sooner, and obviously it's much easier for him to one-shot creep, so he is hyper mobile in these fights, and he can really look to execute champions to
get that reset.
Get the reset.
And the other interesting thing was Knight actually held onto his teleport as well. So the moment Exile started channeling his and was getting involved in the fight, there was no response from Knight. He actually started walking down through the river and just taking the long route through. So the moment the Unicorns had already committed to the play, there was no way for Giants to turn it around.
Let's see. He doesn't see Kassadin. They see a teleport come in here, and I think they imagine it's actually Vizichachi coming down, the reactionary teleports. Look in the ward, in the brush right there. They think it's going to be Vizichachi. That's why Knight, like, also he can finish running, but Vizichachi's always here, so they kind of surprise Giants. And Unicorns win the bot lane party.
Yes. Sunstar, pretty dead. Split off from the rest of his team, so that was just the end of that one. And then they were thinking about going in, but it was a 3 versus 5, so.
We talked about how there weren't that many options right now for the Unicorns of Love, and they really needed Giants to overstep. And if Giants keep forcing plays like this, where they're going for 2v2s in the bottom lane, then this is how Unicorns of Love slowly find their avenue back into the game.
Kind of similar to Game 1 as well, whereas Giants were not able to capitalize on those mistakes, whereas Unicorns of Love are actually getting those kills. Now in this mid lane, Chachi potentially under attack, but the Cocoon goes wide. They'll take the Volatile Spiraling to the face, and they'll back off for now. 16 minutes in, Giants, their gold leaders, not as significant as it was to the Unicorns before.
Unicorns roaming again here, though. In the top lane, Arrow comes out when Spell Shield was down. Mid laner's here too. Knight still has teleport here, so these guys have to be a little bit careful, but look at Sunstar.
Dazzle. It was already used, and Exile will be quite happy to pick up that kill as he comes in.
And this is very reminiscent to the Unicorns later in the season, their 4-1 style, where they were always just roaming, grouping up for kills, using the Shen Global very often, but in this game, Vizichachi has a spearhead too, and this mobile Kassadin is kind of going around. Unicorns skirmishing, looking for picks, and they're succeeding. Giants, they're getting bot lane turret, which means you should always be ready to concede top lane turret, because defending on one side of the map and getting something at the other would only work if you're really far ahead, and Giants aren't that far ahead.
Well, at the bot lane, at least Smitty will get a bit of chip down onto the tower, but it's not really worth that tower that they lost. It's now 1-2 in terms of towers. Unicorns use that play to secure their first of the game. Giants trying to apply pressure in the mid lane now with Maxwell coming in, looking for the Dazzle, but quickly jumped away from by Exile. Smitty is trying to get on top of Hylissang, but he still has the ultimate. Lands the combo onto 2, and that's enough to repel the assault from Giants for now.
And this is pretty good from Unicorns because they're able to keep their mid tower alive even with a Kassadin who's wave clear, typically not considered to be that of the strongest. And we also see Veritas now rotating up to support the rest of his team. So now we're starting to see a bit more grouping from both teams, but Giants, they're committing to the tower.
Yeah, they want this one. Dazzle has been used. Chachi staying on the front lines. Let's get the stun onto SmittyJ rather, and jumps away.
Yeah, Chachi needs to tell his team to not touch the creeps, because he needs them to get out of this fight. These are the exit creeps. When everybody's fighting for farm, imagine he dashes in and like his team's like, thanks for the CS. Jungler smites the creep, and this guy's stuck in the front.
but like he's like lightning. He's just everywhere right now. It's so difficult for Giants to land what little CC they do have, and right now Unicorns.
Well, Giants are forcing the push, using the Tarot Ultimate coming in here. Knight's going to be aggressive, but that's the fast kill onto Chachi to get him off the board. Hillersign now dropped into his ultimate, but he's slowed down, and the exhaust on top of a result on the second kill. Knight still aggressing, he'll bounce back and move, and Exile trying to get a kill in return, but that was just 2 nice kills for the Giants and the mid lane tower.
Yeah, unrelenting pressure here for the Giants, using that Tarek ultimate for brief invulnerability, as well as timing it when Exile was in base. Unicorns, they're getting bold in their defense. They're trying to play 4v5 when already behind with some members in base, and obviously they will get rolled over. They should have conceded the turret, but here, look at how low move is too. Because Chachi gets targeted and there's no counterplay. Combo's down, Veritas is on the run, there's so much offensive zone, and Cassidy isn't even there. Move was out of the fight too, so you have to ask yourself, Unicorns, why even bother contesting this objective?
Yeah, just concede it. You know the Cassidy has no teleport as well, and there's really no good decision there for Unicorns other than to just give away the turret. So it's a big misplay from the Unicorns.
When you're behind, yeah, it's the simplest law in the game. You know, concede, don't feed. Otherwise, otherwise things get very bad for you.
I like that one.
It's the one that didn't make it into Frozen.
Well, he's getting caught out. Whoa, that's so much damage from Giants. Just those 2 members coming in there. Instant kill.
So that's the thruster pack belt, that when you have
the
extra
proto belt,
thrust, you know, it really does pack quite the punch. And honestly, Move, he was not expecting it.
Well, Maxtor is underneath the same pressure with Exile coming in here.
Yellowsang's Q was still on cooldown, very likely.
Maxlaw will still be taken out by Exile, but he may trade his life for his. Knight is all over and will flash away, but the rest of the team's there to capitalize. Now Hillersign is slowed down by the tower, also killed up there by Giants, and they are now getting themselves a hefty advantage. Knight getting aggressed on by Chachi, but not enough to take him out.
And this is the Unicorns composition as well. They're all centered around dueling, making picks here with the Ashe to cast and the Aurelia, all these champions. If they fall behind against the teamfight comp from Giants, they will get rolled over, and that's exactly what's happening.
And as On the Hunt used, and Giants are just instantly pulling the trigger, getting the first kill, looking for the second. Move will use its ultimate to jump away to his tower, but Giants doing such a good job in this game, capitalizing on their lead.
Don't feed, concede really needs to echo home right now, because there's no reason for Unicorns again to try and contest that. Sunstar had his ultimate available. Hustlin's stun is not that long of a cooldown. It's such an easy setup, and when you have a pillar, it is so easy to lock down that low mobility Ashe. So this is how the initial play starts off. Maxtor stealing away a couple of ganks. Honestly, a little bit overzealous, but he's able to get away thanks to a bit of help from Hustlin. And Hillersign, sorry. Exile is able to get the cleanup kill, but that results in him overextending as well. And this is where Giants start to clean up the fight.
Yeah, more fighting here in the jungle. Let's see how this ends.
Oh, Move's going to be the first casualty of the fight, and I mean, pretty much the story's already been told. Unicorns of Love are losing this fight. Veritas arrives, but he's just a little bit too late as Knight will jump away with a phase dive. And bot lane, Giants will continue the push.
And this is what I like more from Hustlin here, whipping out the Taric. Just has a lot more impact in these fights. Hustlin is really a cornerstone of Giants in a lot of these one fights and even the bot lane trades, whereas last game his Karma just didn't have a chance to have an impact here, so I like this a lot more from Giants.
Use the parallel convergence to zone away from the tower, plus the tower itself. 4 towers to 1 currently Giants, and now they are really building up that gold advantage. Everyone taking a trip back to base, a lot of gold to spend in their pockets, around 2k for pretty much every member there, so gonna be very happy with that one. First dragon of the game hasn't even been picked up. It's no Cloud Dragon, so no one cares.
Interesting that Giants have put very little value on trying to pick that Cloud Drake up. It's understandable why it would fall down in terms of priority for when trying to take these early towers and gain more map control. But the fact that it hasn't been taken at 22 minutes does make you wonder as to why Giants haven't actually put any value on it.
It's a little weird, but at the other side of the coin is the fact that they're keeping their tier 1 towers alive an extraordinarily long amount of time.
True, yeah.
So doing a dragon right now would trade a turret for unicorns pretty much for free, which is what they don't want. And if you can keep getting more towers yourself, whatever point in the game, I think a turret trade seems to be worth more than a dragon, unless it's like an infernal or maybe a set of mountains that you really want. So I get this from Giants. They always have a logical next objective, and they will only look for dragon as kind of a freebie to pick up along the way. Also, settling in that area, you need good vision control because you open yourself to being picked off when you group around an objective like that. You know, Fizichachi in a brush somewhere, you know, Cassin hopping out, and suddenly you're building your throw.
It's nice to see Giants actually getting ahead in this game, kind of harkening back to what you said in the last game, Creflo. It's like a lot of decisions they made could have gone the other way had they been slightly further ahead, and in this game they are ahead. So a lot of those decisions that they are making, not necessarily bad, and have often worked out very well for them. Knight rotating up to the top lane. Finished his Lich Bane as well on this Echo, just looking to instantly take someone out of this build.
Looks like he's actually working towards that Banshee as well. Picking it. He could go for an Abyssal as well, given he has picked up the Mantle, depending on whether or not he wants to be more aggressive or defensive. But echoing what we saw from the KT versus SKT build as well, and the slight shift up from Exile actually going for the Morellonomicon. So he does have a bit more mana at his disposal, also has the Grievous Wounds application. He gets a little bit more ability power. And the added cooldown reduction really does help when trying to trade up against Knight, which you may very well see right now. Notice that Knight isn't really trying to commit to 1v1, but given that it's 14 to 12, he should be able to come out ahead in this one.
He's got the presence of Giants on the top side. He'll take away this move once again going to Maxor, so starving that away from Exile. Bot lane Smitty is absolutely getting the better of Chachi now.
Yeah, Giants are leaning on their 1v1 advantage in the bottom lane, and they're playing the 4-1 out, getting Baron control. That's their next objective, really getting the vision around Baron and forcing Unicorns of Love to kind of dance around, and maybe if they go mid too much, they can take tier 2 top, but the end goal is just going for the 4-1 split push and just matching waves in mid lane. Look, Sivir went mid, pushed down, reset, groups the team again. Now 2 members have to commit to dealing with Smitty, which means Giants will turn and go for Baron. 3 members are here, which means Giants should get the Baron.
But Unicorns of Love instantly see this, and this is like, well, this is not worth it to commit the resources to Smitty. Here comes a TP from him as well, but both top lanes are coming up here. Ash Arrow comes out, and the ultimate is coming in from Hudson to give a bit of invulnerability. Hillersang is in the pit. They have vision of the Baron. How low it's going. Can they get the steal? It will go over to Maxlaw, and Chachi goes down. Giants should be turning this one on towards Unicorns, but it all dropping low. Exile maybe looking for the follow-up here. That's a fast kill to the Giants.
And that shot calling at the end is what separates Giants, who finished third here, with the Giants in any of the previous iterations. They would make these calls, but they would kind of get cleaned up in the pit. They were very calm. They all finished off Baron. They used invulnerability. They immediately turned on Vizicachi, and then they all collectively decided to either gap close or flash out afterwards, and it was really nice to see all of them on the same page.
And the use of this Taric ult was monumental in enabling Giants to be able to take that objective, because it allowed to buy them so much time. They had the Pillar for zone control. They had Knight's W for zone control as well. And the thing you also have to remember when going up against this Echo, who has a lot more AP, his ultimate packs quite the punch, which honestly Chachi was not expecting at the end of that fight. So Giants, they get themselves the Baron, and now this really is their game to lose.
It's funny because we praised Unicorns of Love for a very similar play last game when they had the Rise, everyone to jump over the wall, but
well, from 4 flashes guys, just split, we're out.
Yeah, I didn't have all that many dashes to get over the wall, so had to burn those big summoners, but still very well played from the Giants, getting this Baron at a very minimal loss, and even getting the kill as well. 13-5 now, and in a very dominating position. Apparently you were right at the start of the game, red side is OP. Exile can just get caught up here. Move as well. Needs to be careful. Protobelt looking to explode his target. Move is already dead. Veritas turning around onto the opposite jungler.
Yeah, if you dive in head first with the 2 Protobelts, you're obviously building quite squishy. Both junglers straight their lives here. Honestly, push is being thwarted too, but there are residual turrets being picked up left and right here by the Giants.
That's every tier 2 turret now gone for the Unicorns of Love. 6 in favor of 1 to the Giants, and Smitty J looking to pick himself up a red buff as well, just to add a bit of insult to injury. And if you just look at the minimap, you can see the difference in vision control. Unicorns, with the loss of that Baron and all of these turrets, are really struggling to really gain any ground on the map.
Yeah, this was Exile kind of getting out. Move, walks in for the Cocoon, trying to keep his mid laner alive, but there's just so much damage. They are quite squishy though. Knight almost loses GA. That's why he built that too, you know, really strong on Echo. Just diving in, getting the ulti out, maybe going in again, getting another GA pop, and just wreaking havoc.
I was curious about the Graves pick coming into picks and bans. I asked about that one, and maybe it was the matchup. But currently he's 0-5-3.
Not a fan at all.
So
nope.
Yeah, after the fact now, 27 minutes in, I'm also not a fan.
I mean, they had the Gragas as an option, and at the very least, they could have gone for the Olaf as well. There were options available to them.
There was also like some of the decisions he was making early game as well. Those 2 early deaths was just from him derping.
But this was something we've seen from Move, where sometimes we said in the past that the team often lives or dies by how he performs.
Right.
And to be honest, right now the team is struggling.
And so is Move. You're getting aggressed on again by Maxor. He's got the invulnerability. This will turn around the fight for Giants. Move's going to go down. Exile finds him. He'll jump after Knight as well. Chachi trying to get out alive. He'll use those minions to get to safety. Knight will back away, not even even popping the GA, and they'll drop the cow as well. Exile trying to get in there. He'll jump back into the team. And Giants get another 2 successful kills.
And now Giants, they just need to rotate up to the top lane because there is a big minion wave. They have the Baron. They've taken 2 members down of the Unicorns, and they should be able to break into the base of the Unicorns of LoL.
Absolutely. This top tower is going to go down with no contest from the Unicorns. She'll be this inhibitor as well, 2 boots. And Exile just has to look on in anguish and then back away.
And this reminds us more of the 3rd place Giants team that we saw surge at the end of the split 2. Honestly, clean snowballing. Giants, one of their strengths was their relatively clean finishing of games, which was honestly one of their biggest weaknesses, because like former iterations of Giants, you have so many memories of them literally throwing the game. But this iteration was actually quite clean in their finishes. Their Baron control always needed a little bit more work, but they seem to have refined that quite a bit this game.
I will never forget Giants versus Elements, that 50-minute game with the Baron steal that Giants ended up winning.
Don't know what you talk about.
But you can see the fight. The initial setup coming out from Giants was a little bit overzealous, but the flank from Knight is really what turned it.
Yeah, it is not fine or not well to dwell in the past. Yes, we should just focus on this fight here. Clean execution on Giants, and they take it home.
Yeah, and Giants, they were just running all over Unicorns in this fight. Exile tries to jump in, but he just doesn't have the same impact that Knight does in this late game phase. And that's just a play-by-play statement to make, but 30 minutes in, 16 kills the Giants, and they will get the 2nd dragon of the game. Next one will be indeed that Elder Dragon, but not even sure if they needed to finish this one out.
Right now, Giants, they have the wave pushing in the top lane with the exposed inhibitor. They can leave Smitty J in the mid or in the bottom if they want, but with the wave in the bottom half of the map already, Giants are likely just going to group up and start the push.
Yeah, Maxwell walks away. You know, cool guys don't look at exploding dragons. Turns his spider.
The dragons
booty.
explode? Is that one?
That one, I don't know. I didn't see it. You know, he was turning his back to it.
Not a story. Could have done. Oh, Maxwell is now pushing down the bottom lane with the rest of his team. Smitty J is also pushing in mid against Chachi, eventually getting a bit of chip damage down there. But Giants trying to force their way in, and Unicorns of Love, I mean, they just have to try and pull the trigger, but that didn't work out for Hillasang. He'll go down, and Move is on the front lines, but he doesn't really want to be there. Sansa is on the front lines for Giants and is making it work. Move backing off to his fountain now as the bottom inhib will fall. Rotation to the mid lane from Giants will be taking this inner inhib turret away from the Unicorns, and this looks incredibly dire.
Yeah, it looks dire here, and Giants getting their footing back here. Sunstar
Oh,
drops,
Chachi gets the assassinate onto Sunstar. Will it be enough for them to win this fight? Well, Chachi trades his life for it. Giants lose a couple kills. Veritas backing away, and yeah, I have to agree with you here, Mitch. Not really working out for the Unicorns. Move caught up in the Maelstrom damage from Giants. They'll finish off this fight 4-for-1.
And it looks like Giants bite back as they're going to be able to take game 2 in this best-of-5 series, as Hillasang's the final to drop, and Knight rounds things out with a triple kill.
Nice triple, padding the stats out there. 10-1 and 4 to finish this one, and game 2 will go to Giants.
Yeah, what I like the most is what it does for this series. We've seen Unicorns kind of snowball super far ahead game 1, but there were some situations where Giants honestly misplayed. It was one good macro move that the Unicorns didn't get access to now, and you saw them struggle here. And the shift in focus from what we expected to be around bot lane is so adamant. Like, this game is played around top lane right now. Both junglers will need to be picked in unison, or at least cognizant of the pairing.
Yeah.
Jungle and top lane, and then see where can you start. Can you do a 245 gank in the top lane, snowball again? Because that's what Move was doing this game, Maxwell was doing this game. He showed up, got Chachi's flash, showed up again, killed him. Everybody grouped up as well, and then it was such a strong play.
I mean, what do we need to see here in terms of adaptations now coming out from Unicorns? Because we were joking about it before, Vedas, about red side OP, but now Unicorns actually have the side selection now coming in here. So do you pick red side? What are you looking for?
Well, we have to remember, I think the biggest change that we saw was the Rek'Sai ban that came out from the Giants, because then it forced the choice in junglers to what became the priority. And it actually looked like from the Unicorns that, hey, Kassadin was our priority. This was something that we definitely wanted to have in our team composition. And that gave Giants pick of the litter as to what they wanted to prioritize. And Move typically has fallen back on the Elise, and when that was denied from him, he actually chose the Graves over the Gragas. So we'll have to see how things shift up, and perhaps, remember, the Giants have higher seeding, so they will get choice this game, and it might not be a surprise if they actually decide to go for red sides and force Unicorns of Love to make a decision as to what they want to go for the first pick.
Definitely want to keep hustling on a melee support like Taric. I think Alistar is it feels like a weaker version of Tarek and Tom Kench in what he brings. I know it's a comfort pick for Hylissang, but I think Tom Kench would have maybe been a lot better here as a pick too, because he has kind of conditional harass, whereas Alistar is so absolute in his engages. Purely from a bot lane perspective, I like the hustle and Tarek this game. I feel like it was the glue that kept everything together.
Well, that's it for now. So for more on Game 2, let's head over to the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, guys. The first game was very snowbally from the Unicorns of Love. This one was very snowbally for the Giants, and it had 28 more kills than the EOL CS Summer split average. But it was hard to determine what exactly got Giants ahead. They just played everything correctly, it seemed. Is there anything you guys can highlight?
I feel like there's a lot of early game things to highlight. It all starts in the pick and ban phase specifically. The casters were just talking about their jungle matchup being heavily in favor of Giants in the early game, and Maxlow obviously showed up big time. There are some questions. I didn't like the Alistar pick. We talked a lot about it. When Tarek is already locked in, I actually think Tarek is a counter to Alistar, so it's kind of like, doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Another thing is like the Trundle last pick from Giants. In the end, actually ends up winning or giving Giants a winning side lane. So like Trundle is a counter to Irelia up in the top lane. So by picking him and putting Echo mid, even though you're not the biggest fan maybe of the matchup mid lane for Echo.
Like I don't think even think it showed like he didn't win super hard when he won. Like he was ahead early because he just keeps pushing like less than Echo, right? But like they got some great roams up top and they got a lot of kills. And,
But he did get killed and put behind, but he still was great.
He
messed up.
Really greedy.
But you gotta always look at like the 2v2 scenarios happening across the map. 2v2 in mid lane, jungle plus mid laner. 2v2 top lane, jungle plus top laner. Who's the strongest? When you have Trundle versus Irelia and you have Elise versus Graves, you will always win the 2v2 on top side in favor of Giants with the Trundle and the Elise. And that's what they use to constantly put pressure, and they just snowball out of control.
I think one of the interesting things for me looking at this pick and ban phase is Chachi's blind pickable top laners. I mean, you look at the Irelia, they had the Trundle. Well, you could say you could pick the Na, but then you got the Irelia. Like, there's a lot of kind of like triangle of who beats who up in the top lane. Now that Shen's not available for him, and he isn't getting the cannon in this game, I'm just interested now to see if Unicorns end up on blue side again and Giants are looking to kind of pick for Smitty J, how that matchup is actually going to go, because if he doesn't have anything that he can reliably go and blind pick every single time, it could be tough.
Giants have just picked red side, so the Unicorns of Love will be on blue for it.
I was about to say, like red side to me seems like the strong side anyway.
I don't think that Aurelia was a blind pick. I think he was 100% sure that Echo was going to go top, because I don't think Aurelia is a blind pick anymore. Especially when Trundle is open. He should know this matchups. He plays Trundle himself, and I think what I talked about, like the Echo matchup, but I think more like the jungle pick, I think was really weird. You pick Kassadin, a lane you know is going to get pushed in no matter what matchup he plays pretty much early on. Then you pick Graves that wants to go in and won the jungler and be a good 2v2 with a mid laner, but you're not going to win 2v2 early on with the Kassadin, so it doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. Also, I don't understand why Malzahar wasn't picked into the Kassadin either.
They hate Malzahar, but also again, like there's so many things to this pick and ban phase that I just find so interesting. The Graves one, 100% agree with your point. Again, the Alistar here, I think you could actually, if you're Unicorns of Love, just pick Trundle yourself. You know it is a potential counter pick to Irelia. It is a much better pick against Tarek than an Alistar, and it would have given you a fine laning phase anyway. So I think there were some issues from Unicorn's side especially, and then Max Law just showed up big time with Knight.
Yeah, he did. Giants got an advantage, and something that the casters mentioned as well. When the Giants get an advantage, they do a good job of playing it out. One thing you wanted to take a look at was a clean tower dive from the side of the Giants, putting them forward ahead. I thought it was clean, at least. But
no, it was. I mean,
yeah.
I think this is the weakness of Unicorns, is again for them, it's all about being offensive. When they are falling behind, they tend to make some stupid decisions. Here, defending without any wave clear versus 5. Kassadin is in the bottom lane, by the way. It just doesn't make any sense. Surrender the tower, you're going to lose it anyway.
And that's the thing, is like, okay, maybe Kassadin can come in, but everybody's full health. It's like, even if he comes in, you've got to somehow get like the perfect setup to burst everybody down. So as you said, like, you just concede that tower.
Also, like, you give Echo so many free kills, and against this team, when they have Graves jungle, like, Graves is not going to stop the Echo if he goes in and he's fed. Like, he's just going to die. The Aurelia can E him, and he, like, Aurelia is generally a good matchup into Echo in top lane of this, but like when he gets this fed, he can go into the backline. There's no real CC besides the Ashold and then Aurelia E, but Aurelia should be in their backline with Kassadin. So I think that's like the pick. I actually like the pick into Graves overall.
Yeah, Knight did a fantastic job in this game, even though in the beginning there wasn't that much to say. He picked up a lot of kills by the end of the game. We're also going to take a look at Baron Call by Giants. Very clean Baron Call once again. They do know how to close it out once they get the advantage, which has been something that has been giving them so many 2-0s across the split.
Yeah, I think like in general, like Trundle is so far ahead of the Aurelia, like he can just push up all the time, and there's nothing Aurelia can really do 1v1. So they have to send people bot, but then they just insta-start Nash and Smitty TPs, and they pop the Tower Gold, and I actually really like this when they just escape up.
This is another situation where you look at Move now, he's underneath where Ash is, and Giants easy pick up on the Baron. And, you know, we saw the Star Trek exit from the Baron pit earlier with the Rise ult. This one was just the old manual flash out. Doesn't really matter how you get out of that. But we were talking about how it was a good Baron call. They didn't particularly have vision on where Move was, but they knew that there was no reaction time from Unicorns.
Yeah, 1-1, that means the predictions are still on track, yet you were taunting the Fisio and saying, hi, look.
Even though
Yeah, but
I'm 0-2.
No. I predicted 1 or 2 games. Giants is gonna probably lose.
1 or 2.
Yes. I'm predicting God. I'm gonna win.
Again, it's a 3-2 Giants. You said I said 3-2 Unicorns. You know, now Unicorns gonna win, then Giants gonna win, and then Unicorns are gonna win the last.
Yeah, you don't get to focus. You got in late unless you want to be the tiebreaker.
It's 1-1 now.
Actually, we need
Yeah,
a
you got it.
Okay.
Tiebreaker.
Unicorns, 3-2.
Unicorn.
Whatever,
Yeah.
man. I'm gonna laugh when I win.
Okay. All right, we'll see what happens, but we're going to take a short break before Game 3. But before we go, Max Lord tells us how he feels about the Giants and how they finished the split.
What was this?